everything that you need to do for your travels, you're practicing every single minute, hour, day of how to become better at living by yourself, traveling by yourself, and providing for yourself. And I tell you, that sense of freedom, that sense of like being so like independent is beautiful. So what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Benjamin Harden here, back with another travel and lifestyle video. As you know, I put up these videos of my personal experiences, my tips, my insights, all of that, just so that hopefully want to share it with you guys. You can implement this sort of information in the future with your travel adventures and what you choose to do. If this is of an interest to you, then by all means consider subscribing. It's awesome seeing the channel grow over the past year and all the new subscribers come to the channel. So thank you in advance for that. Hope you enjoy what you're watching. And yeah, let's dive into this video. So let me tell you a quick story, okay? So yesterday, I had a nice little jog around my neighborhood, managed to have a nice little catch up with my friend. And the topic of the conversation was solo travel. Like how we've kind of each done our own thing and how we've kind of like done different trips and different places. And it was really nice to kind of talk about that because it inspired me to think about my journey and to look back on what I've achieved over the last 2 years. We ended up diving into the conversation even more so to talk about things like the pros and cons of traveling, the highlights, the insecurities, the pains, the fears, the desires. After the whole conversation that we had, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna actually start and create a video about this, because I feel that this sort of information potentially helps someone down the line and therefore aid them or their travels as well. So what's happened here in Australia, okay? So if I can remember, I started off in Victoria, Melbourne, okay? 6 months I stayed there. After I fly over to Darwin for a couple of weeks, and then I ended up going to Queensland, in which I stayed there for I think a total of 8 months. Did a bit of work over there with in Queensland, in Gold Coast, and then after that I literally went and travelled the East Coast from Gold Coast to Darwin for 2 months, and then to finish up here in Darwin, I've been here for 6 months in Northern Territory, and I'm going to be here for 2 more months before I then fly to Perth for Western Australia. So for the whole majority of these 2 years in Australia, I have been solo traveling, but I have had a lot of support through the whole process. For example, when I was in Victoria in Melbourne, I was with one of my close mates from UK, from Oxford, called Alex Beale. When I was in Queensland, in Stanthorpe near Brisbane, I was with my farm work lot. When I was in Gold Coast, I had all of my hospitality work hops crew, which were amazing. And then also, when I come here to Darwin, I've got like my civil construction work crew, which has really like been there for us for the time that I've been here in the Northern Territory. That's also definitely not to forget every single one of the people that I met on the East Coast trip from the Gold Coast to Darwin, who I met, which I've mentioned in quite a few of the videos and that you've seen in all the videos, which were such an amazing support network for me throughout my whole time here in Australia so far. So over these 2 years of traveling Australia solo, I've managed to learn a lot about a variety of different pros and cons to this particular type of travel. And this is why I kind of wanted to include it definitely in this video. We're going to start off with the cons, just because I feel that if you know more about like the bad side of solo travel and the negatives, then you can kind of plan your travels in a way that can kind of like prepare for these sort of things, and knowing it's half the battle. So yeah, the first one I would say is trying to figure everything out yourself. Obviously when you're on the road by yourself, you're that person that's got to make things happen. Okay, I'm going to give a quick example about this. So when I was in Caboolture, back in Queensland, I needed to somehow find a way to work, and apart from getting lifts from other people, I really need to try and find my own car, buy a car over here in this country, which if you haven't seen it, I'll put the video just up here somewhere because I've made one of them as well. In going through that whole process of trying to figure out what was needed for that particular type of problem. Like what do I need for this, to have a car in Australia, for it to be registered, for it to be legal, roadworthy, and all sorts of stuff. And I had to be the one to do all that research. I had to be the one to kind of go out there and meet people and get this car sorted, buy this car, save the money to buy that car. So having these problems arise and you being able to attack them head on, if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. So like trying to become better at doing things by yourself. Another con that I want to mention, which is not a massive big one, but it's still, I still notice it, you know, is FOMO. It's the fear of missing out. So like, as you know, like everyone's on social media and you see your other friends doing other things in other places with other travelers, and you kind of miss that connection, you know, you miss those people and you miss being with them wherever they are, and then that's where the fear of missing out comes from, you know. I've noticed that massively since being here in Darwin. Like when everyone left after the build-up to go to either Perth, to Queensland, or to Victoria, I stayed here to ride it out, you know. Another one I want to mention is waiting for things alone by yourself. So whether you're going to like some of the events that I did in East Coast on the Whit Sundays, going to like attractions and stuff, like I'd have to wait for these things by myself, which meant that it's adding to the loneliness. You know, sometimes I feel a bit isolated. I feel really nervous. I feel anxious to meet new people in certain settings. With that as well, like it's times like then I like pull my phone out and I kind of look to all like the online networks that I have of community, where I kind of talk to people and ask travel recommendations and see what other people are doing to kind of help me with my trip, you know. That's why I'm so fortunate I have that side of things where I can, because if I didn't, I'll feel even more alone. The next one I'll talk about is really important, especially for female solo travelers. What I've learned from their experiences is safety. It's traveling to certain places, certain destinations by yourself. So like obviously in Australia, it's a lot more, well, I feel it's a lot more safer than other countries like maybe Southeast Asia, when you can't speak their mother tongue or their language, or other places across the world, etc. When you feel unsafe, you feel worried, you feel anxious again, you feel like concern as well, and that's not a good feelings to have, man. Like you want to be like with people that give you good vibes and good energy. And you move on to like, I want to say tiredness and fatigue. Like traveling can get tiring, man. It can get really like knackering, especially if you're doing like different things, like events, excursions, like one after each day, and getting tired and that's why I used to love living in hostels, because the people that I'd live with in the room would be very social and I can kind of talk to them about my day towards the end. But then also, like if you are by yourself, I'm not gonna lie, with me, I start to overthink things. I start to get in my head a bit, and then that's when I start to get a bit anxious about stuff. And I'm like, well, should I have done that? Should I have done this? But I feel like when I'm with people, that's taken away, because I'm more focused on what's happening in front of me. I'm more focused on people that give me confidence and that build me up and that give me good vibes. I'm gonna move straight on to the pros, because this is my favorite bit. So the first one I do is it's gonna have to be a certain extension, an intense amount of independence coming your way. Like when you're by yourself, with you trying to like take on everything that you need to do for your travels, you're practicing every single minute, hour, day of how to become better at living by yourself, traveling by yourself, and providing for yourself. And I tell you, that sense of freedom, that sense of like being so like independent is beautiful. It's amazing, honestly. Like being in charge of your life and trying to push it in a direction that you really want to go, oh man, that is a skill that is highly regardable. Whether it's on your CV or whether it's in life, literally, honestly, yeah, independence and striving for the things you really want to chase. Next one up, your social skills advance too. So with this, I mean that just how you'd build your muscles at a gym with practice and consistency, right? In traveling, with practicing how to socialize with people, you build up a experience in it, and you become better at it over time. Whether it's literally talking to a person on the bus, asking for directions when you're out with a local, speaking to the hostel staff or what's good to do that night. Honestly, when you're traveling, these are all great things to do to build your social experience and skills to become, one, a better traveler, two, more socially independent, and three, just enjoy everything around you without being so nervous to move forward and talk to people. Next, we're going to go for, it's a big one in my opinion, it's with solo traveling, you get to practice transferable skills every day, such as like adaptability, problem solving, relationship building. These are just a few, but when you're solo traveling, you have more chance to become more driven to focus on building your connections and your abilities when you're abroad, because no one else is going to do it for you. You need to do it, okay? You need to set yourself up in a way that you're going to be happy and you're going to enjoy these things, and whatever that future path looks like for you. Like, every single day is a learning day. It's a learning curve, you know. Like from experience, like this whole 2 years have been one giant learning curve of highs, of lows, of literally being as poor and as skint as living off tuna and rice and noodles, to having actual decent amount in my bank where I can actually like invest in my future and in my business. And do you know what, like going through that sort of contrast and that sort of challenges and hurdles will only make you a stronger person. Which in fact leads me on to the next bit, which is wanting to meet people everywhere you want to go. I'll tell you now, from 8 years of traveling the world, one of the best things about it all is not just seeing the places and seeing these beautiful locations, but it's who you choose to spend it with. Whether they be someone completely new that you've just met in your hostel room, or someone that you've been traveling with for months. Honestly, like, you find out who your kind of people are and who you want to spend it with, and it is such a beautiful experience to have those memories as a shared collective to kind of motivate you to what you want to do next, or motivate you to who you want to meet next. When you do deepen that connection, this opens doors to like being asked to go to events, being asked to meet people in other countries, being asked to go to your friend's home country, and the possibilities really can be endless. But it all depends on like you. All depends on how open you want to be with people, and if you get on with each other, and if that is a thing to kind of look into the future. Another pro, here we go. So depending on where you go, where you start, where you end up traveling, after you finish traveling, you find yourself with amazing stories to tell. Not only your family, not only your friends at home, but also your other travel friends as well. Like, sharing travel experience is one of my favorite things, because you get to learn about people, you get to learn about what they've done, and how this can also aid you in what you want to do. The first one is you don't have to travel to the other side of the world to solo travel, okay? You could literally pick something as simple as getting some funds together, some money, and go into a different state or go into a different county and just try an experience over there. Like with me, I'm kind of all or nothing a little bit, where I'm like, the reason why I wanted to pick Australia, because it was the furthest destination away from where I live. Well, I used to live in the UK, but before that I did like seasons across Europe, and then I did the Southeast Asia circuit. So building up to those big, huge, giant leaps is going to be a bit easier for you because you're taking it a step at a time. You're not going too hard too soon. So this is all dependent on preference though, and kind of who you are as a person. So I would suggest start with one thing, attack that one thing, see how you get on, and then maybe try another thing like sooner after that. So here's another top tip for social independence, okay, one that I've learned along the way. I'm stealing this one, borrowing this one from Alex Hogarth, learned it from him in Stanford. It is that, say when you go up to someone in the hostel or a local or just someone in general and you want to ask them about a couple things, just pick one person. It's so much easier to speak to one person one-to-one than go up to a group of 5 or 10 people, because then the fear of rejection is bigger. There's more people involved. So with me going up to someone and just being like, hey, sorry mate, sorry to interrupt you, just want to catch up real quick, and then for that interaction and that connection can be a little bit more easier for you to ask for travel recommendations or to ask for their opinions on a few things than to like try and take on like a whole room of people that are staring at you and you're like, you don't want to make yourself look a bit of a fool. So yeah. Up next, top tip, one of my favorites, it's don't forget to talk to the workers, the travel, the staff, the people that are living and working in those places, because not only if you get on well do you kind of, you find out more about that place, you find out more about that location, but they'll have top tips for you to kind of enjoy that trip. You never know what can come of it. Like there's been times where I've spoke to a hostel guy in one of the hostels on the east coast, and they've asked me to come out to these certain places, and I would have never had that sort of invite or experience if I never made that first contact at the conversation. So, and you know what, locals know best as well, so well, they tend to anyway, with the hidden gems. So this can certainly enhance your solo travel life, and it can give you such a great introduction to meet other people as well. That brings us to the end of this video. I just want to say massive thank you to every single one of you for sticking to the end and for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed. If you got some value out of this vid, then be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more travel content coming soon to this channel, and yeah, we hope to see you in the next video, wherever we end up. All the best, happy travels, and we'll see you real soon. Take care, bye bye.